Welcome to the Our Day Off podcast here at King of the Hammers 2026. I got Mr. BJ Baldwin here. And again, this is kind of a pinch me moment for me. I'm a racer at heart. I've been racing hammers for a long time. This is it's hard to tell at this point, but we're saying 9 years and been racing 8. And this year I'm not racing. I was supposed to race another car in the open class UTV class this year, but the car's broke.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's not mine. It was another racer asked me to fill in for him, but it didn't work out. So here I am doing podcasts. So awesome. It worked out really for the better. And to be able to have you on my podcast and have you right here has been it's pretty wild.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's very flattering.
Yeah, you've been racing desert and trophy trucks for how many years?
I started in, I want to say March 6th, 1997. My first race was the Prim 300. I did it in a limited buggy. It was a class 12 buggy. So it was 1835 cc VW engine with a beam front end. It had 4 shocks on each side and the rear, 2 shocks. Pretty fun. So it was like, I think it made somewhere in the neighborhood of 89 horsepower.
Wow.
So maybe a little bit more than that. I think it would go, I don't know, 86 or 87 miles an hour and flat. And then I transitioned from that into a class 10 car, Toyota powered class 10 car that was a Bunderson car. We put a bigger motor in it, a Scat V4. And then we bought Damon Jeffries' old truck. It was kind of inspired by one of Robbie Gordon's older mid-engine trucks. The steering needed a little bit of work, but it accelerated really well. I'd raced that one for, I think, 18 months while we were building the SPD trucks with Dave Peralt. So I've raced the SPD trucks. I've got, I think I got 5 championships in the SPD trucks, or ID design trucks, with Dave Peralt and Bill Savage. And then I have a stout truck that has all ID design suspension on it. We were able to cut a bunch of weight. I was actually just talking about this, a bunch of unsprung weight out of the front of that particular truck once we got it and rebuilt all the new suspension, and done pretty well in the ID Designs truck or Savage truck, and 5 championships in that and 3 in the other truck. So
yeah, your racing career is extensive.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you've been doing it for a long time, and you've made quite the name for yourself in the industry. Everybody knows who you are, and I've seen you race a few times, and you've raced hammers before, right?
Yes. I think the first trophy truck race is the one I raced in Rampage, and that truck does pretty well out here. It was the bigger loop. I want to say it was a 100-mile loop. We ended up getting 3rd that year. And for whatever reason, I got the hill that's named after me. It was pretty funny. That's
what I was going to bring up next, is that we got Baldwin Hill out here that everybody talks about. Yeah,
it's very flattering. I didn't know any of that was going to happen. I just saw an opportunity, and I didn't even know anybody was paying attention. I didn't know there was going to be people on the other side of that. It was kind of one of those things where you're kind of pressed into the right side of the car going up this. And then you had to go over the crest and then come down this route. And I didn't really see much vegetation, and I didn't see any tire tracks on this particular angle. And I just got out and was looking around. I was like, okay, I'm going to run this, and I'm going to do it at, a conservative pace. It's probably going to come off the ground a little bit, and it's going to be absolutely terrifying. But if it makes me some time, I'm going to do it. And then I see it all over the internet. I didn't think anybody was paying attention in this area. I did it every lap. The second lap, I landed on the only rock that was there. So I ended up getting a flat. But it was not something that was fun for me. I just thought it would save, a good, 4 or 5 seconds. So I'm, you know how it is with racing. You're trying to trim the fat off of the course whenever you get the opportunity to. This just happened to be an opportunity that looked spectacular. So they ended up naming the hill after me, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it gets mentioned every single year. Single year. For some reason, that hill is Baldwin Hill, and it will forever will be that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I feel like every time Hammers rolls around since then, somebody else goes bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're like, oh, now you got to change the name. Now you got to change the name. Well, it's not the same. It's not the same part of the course anymore. Because like when I made that line, there was nothing there. Now it's like all burned in straight. And everybody just sees how they know everybody's watching now. So they're like trying to go to the moon every time they go over it. I watched one guy in a Jimco truck like land in a hole, and the first thing I thought of is that guy's going to get out of that truck after the race. He's going to be 2 inches shorter, because I know that hurt. I know that. I was not trying to impress anybody when I did that. Just trying to cut the fat off, but it ended up looking pretty cool, and it got shared everywhere.
Yeah, and you've got a sweet hill named after you now.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
That's badass.
I didn't have to die or anything. That's kind of nice, right?
All right, everybody. I want to give a quick shout out to CT Raceworks. CT Raceworks makes the baddest parts in the industry, including the parts that Kyle Chaney uses to win the 2025 King of the Hammers 4400 race. Now, if you would like to use those same parts, feel free to go over to CT Raceworks and use the Our Day Off discount code, and that will get you a 5% discount on your entire order at any time. So that's Our Day Off discount code upon checkout. Back to the show. Yeah, usually people have got to make some pretty big mistakes to get something after them.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, tell me about your family history too, because I was talking to some friends, and they said that your family's been big into racing for a long time, like even before you. That's how you got into it, right?
That's it's funny with the Baldwin name. When I started, there were like 3 other Baldwins. There was Josh Baldwin, Jason Baldwin, that were brothers, and then there was Nick Baldwin that wasn't related to either one of them. All very good drivers. I think Jason won the championship in 2005 or 2006 when I started racing, or no, 2005, the year before I started racing my Dave Peralt truck, Rampage. And unfortunately, he died in a plane crash on the way home from the Baja 1000. But yeah, everybody thinks that, babe, well, we'll find out.
She got her earbuds in.
We'll find out what happened here.
Oh, wow. Look at that. It went well.
Yeah. If he has another dog that tries to punk him, he kind of screams at him.
Gets a little wild.
A little bit. It would get loud.
For anybody that's watching, BJ's got his dog sitting over here.
And another dog fight. That dog was massive.
Another dog walked by, and we had to take a second.
I was like, oh, I'm going to have to break this up.
Well, that's all right.
Well, yeah. No, he's I obviously worked with him a bunch, so as long as that dog doesn't jump all over her, then he's fine. But he can get kind of chaotic if something happens. But yeah, I in 2006 when I started racing Rampage, I won first race of the season, which was Laughlin Desert Challenge, which I love. I love Laughlin so much. You know this as well as I do, because we're in the desert. Like, we have to really take care of stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll just break. If I throw a tantrum or get aggravated or anything happens, I break my truck in 5 minutes. It's so easy to do without getting a flat, without rolling over or anything. If I just don't contain my emotions, I'll just put my toes through the fucking firewall. Can I say that?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
You're good. This podcast, homie.
I'll just put my toes through the fucking firewall, and I'll break an intermediate shaft or twist a drivetrain or break a ring gear or something like that, which it's happened before. So like really preserving my emotions has been like a big thing, especially early on in my career. Cause like I looked up all the guys that I was racing against, like Rob McCachran, I was racing against Larry Ragland for a little bit, like, Brian Collins, all these guys is like, they were like superheroes to me when I was younger. I was delighted just to show up and be able to watch some stuff like this, to be able to participate even in a limited class was like incredible. So I've never let that go. I've never like overlooked the opportunities that I've been able to capitalize on. All of my superheroes, I got to grow up. They all wear capes, and I got to compete against them and rip their fucking capes off and strangle them with their fucking capes. So like, I don't overlook that. Like, I'm a fan. I'm a fan that got to be, put myself in position to be behind the wheel.
Part of the crew, man.
Yeah. And like, people get mad and pissed off if their stuff's on fire, like a mile from the start line. And, or if I throw a rod like 500 yards from the start line, I don't ever not look at the fact that I got to drive a race truck or a race car or buggy or anything. Like, I never overlooked that. So I've always been really, really grateful for the opportunities that I presented, because I always like to think I love this shit more than anybody on the planet. It's so incredible. And it's unfortunate that like the rest of the world doesn't know that this is cooler than all the other forms of motorsports. You can't really see what a trophy truck can do unless you've been in one.
Right.
Because we're always looking at stuff from an elevated position with a helicopter, and the bumps don't look 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like we're going, 118 miles an hour through 4-foot bumps. So that's kind of like a crutch, so to say, or like, that we have in this form of motorsports. I wish it was more transparent as it relates to how incredibly fascinating it is that these vehicles can do the things that they do. But we're in the present, which is the future, and we got Starlink and we got live feed and all this stuff. I think that's going to bring a little bit more attention to how incredible this form of motorsports is, which I'm really excited about.
Me too. It's come a long way, and you're dead on. I mean, it's almost impossible until lately to document what it's like to be in a truck or even a 4400 car or a side by side. And I know the side by sides are like, minuscule in the horsepower world, but you're still moving out there, dude. And it's crazy fast. I've never been in a trophy truck. I've been in 4,400 cars and 4,800 cars. So I'm kind of, I'm getting close. But I raced.
They don't slow down.
Well, I've been in
like UTV, you hit the brakes and the fillings come out of your teeth through the windshield.
Yeah. Those things are gnarly.
They slow down really well.
Yeah, they do. They do. And I've been very impressed with the trophy trucks. Obviously it's like the top tier, right? It's called T1 truck, they're the best of the best. You guys drive the fastest you can possibly go across the desert. And I've seen those videos, and everybody's kind of seen them where you're following them along the road, right? And then you just see the tires just going like crazy underneath the truck, and the truck's not moving.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can wrap your head around that will explain to you how amazing those trucks are. I think I watched a video of you, actually, now that it's coming into my brain. You got out of your truck and you dumped a water on your shock reservoir.
Yeah.
And it literally boiled off the shock.
Yeah, that was in San Felipe. That's the only place that the shocks really get that. I mean, they get really, really hot, but the shaft speed we see in San Felipe, because everything's so square, and instead of, the cyclic rate of the suspension, going from almost full bump to almost full droop, instead of it happening like 8 times a second, we're seeing like as much as 15, 16 times a second going through some stuff. The shocks get really, really, that's another place. Like if I throw a tantrum and I throw a fit and, poor me, this happened and this, the truck's not running right. And I just weep myself into completely eviscerating the shock oil at 800 degrees,
Unreal.
I've done that testing actually, where I just blown all the seals out of the shock. So that's another place where you got to gradually warm up, the truck. But yeah, it's the best form of motorsports in the world.
I agree with you totally. And
I really think that.
Yeah, what everybody does here, and I'll just speak for King of the Hammers because I don't really know a whole lot about your guys' world, and and maybe you can attest to it, but this race is an absolute amazing place to be. The people are wonderful. Meeting guys like yourself, just being able to rub shoulders with some of the best in the business. I love coming here, and being able on the backside now, kind of being not just a racer, and being able to see how this all works, how this all comes together, and see all the people from all the different forms of motorsport come together. And we all just kind of hang out, it's not like anybody's necessarily better than anybody else, but we all have the same passion. We all love to go fast in the dirt. And you're right. It's the best of the best. And I love it. I can't get away from it. Every single time I leave Hammers, like, I'm not going back next year. It was dusty. I was there for 3 weeks. I'm miserable, and then all of a sudden here we are, I
mean, in terms of event, like I love Martelli. I love Roger Norman. They're my homies. They do a great job at their events. And I love a lot of their events. Dave is, he's really done something special. He's harvested the ability to do everything you could possibly do with this particular event. There's like a lot of resources here of what can be done. And, maybe some people are not able to see what's possible, but Dave he's done a really, really good job seeing what he can do here, because he's harvested every ounce of the sport that you can have here, having a bunch of different classes, having it be like, multi-day event. It's not something like, from a competitor standpoint, we're like 300 miles for the trophy truck race.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So that's not too bad, and it's not really, really nasty out there. It's not like 300 miles of San Felipe, but it's got, out of the 5 elements that you have, in desert racing, whether it be high speed roads, lake bed, washes, really, really rough terrain, rock gardens, stuff like that. I think it's got about, 3 or 4 of those particular environments here. But, 300 miles, it's not going to burn you to the ground. If you're really, really competitive and you've got to do a lot of work on race day, it's not burning you to the ground to where you just want to go home. It's only 300 miles. So to be here as a competitor and enjoy other fellow competitors, I just watched the Ultra 4 qualifying. I was like, man, these guys are gangster.
Yeah.
That is really, really nice to watch, because you've got some incredible drivers in Ultra 4 that have incredible control. And that's like my vibe. That's the thing that I love having the most of, is control. So when I see that, when I recognize that, I was like, that's my guy. That's awesome. That they have more than you'd expect, that have that very, very special talent. We used to only see it like, 4 or 5 guys, but I think out there looking at qualifying, I think you've got like 9 or 10 or 12 guys that are really, really special in terms of their abilities. And it's really cool to see that. You can't see, in a lot of these races, you can't follow qualifying like you can here at King of the Hammers. And you don't have, Bang Bros Pizza or whatever it's called, the fire truck. You don't have like all these awesome places to eat. You don't have monitors everywhere. It's a tier 1, very, very special event. And it's right off the highway, everything's close. And I can't tell you how much I enjoy coming out here, and racing this race is a lot of fun. As soon as I get back here, I'll be back here, because this is a really awesome event.
Yeah, that was kind of one of my next questions. When are we going to see BJ Baldwin back at King of the Hammers?
Well, if I'd love to be in a position where like I owned a development group and I could have, a truck that's just this color, but sure. I rely heavily on marketing partnerships and social media campaigns and viral videos and stuff like that. So I kind of have to go where I'm told to go. If I had everything my way, I'd get in the race truck every Saturday. I have 3 or 4 Masons. I'd have a couple spec trucks just to warm up on, like I have the Ultra 4, I'd have this, I'd have some side-by-sides, I'd have an experimental all-wheel drive trophy truck that ran on depleted uranium and magnets and like electric motors and all that shit. I can't wait. You know what I was thinking the other day? I cannot wait until we have a hybrid trophy truck. And you might think like, oh man, why is he going there? Like, well, why? No, we want a lot of horsepower that's built on a series of controlled explosions. We want a 700-inch motor that just lights the tires up on the pavement. Well, imagine it's rough. It's a rough corner, and it's a relatively sharp corner. So in our vehicles, in like a Mason or something like my truck or whatever, if it's a 70 mile an hour left-hand corner with really, really big bumps, if you have something that's hybrid, all the batteries are on the ground. So 70 miles an hour in my truck, when you're getting X amount of power, you can cruise through a corner like that. Instead of 70 miles an hour, we can go 85, because the CG is so low. Have you ever seen the Tesla SUV testing thing where they have it on like a tray and then they stop at like 20 miles an hour and they stop the tray and it slides off the tray and hits the sand, and all the other, like the Mercedes, the BMWs are like doing like 4 or 5 rollovers. The Tesla goes like this and then it doesn't even roll over.
Yeah.
It's because all the batteries are on the bottom. Imagine a trophy truck like that.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Can you imagine the speed you'd be able to carry in the corners?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Instead of 70, we'd be going 85 in this left 4 with big bumps.
I think that, and the battery is good and bad right now, right? Because the battery is the problem. The battery is what we need to last longer. Yeah. So like if you had, like you said, a hybrid where maybe the motor was charging the batteries, if you're on the gas in a straightaway where you really don't need that, need the batteries, where you're just in a long haul and it's regenerating somehow. Yeah. Sure. I could see it maybe happening, but like the biggest problem with those Teslas is the battery life. I think they're a sweet car. The tech in them is insane. I mean, what they're doing with those cars nowadays and the self-driving is just bananas. And awesome. Where it's going is great. I'm sure it'll come. You know what I mean? I'm sure it'll get there with the tech, but the battery has kind of always been the limiter.
What do you think about like a mid-engine all-wheel drive, and the front tires have 30% power, and the rear tires have 70% power. So you can still gather angle. One of the things I don't like about all-wheel drive trucks is it removes some of the skills that I have worked very, very hard to build, and that is control in delivering angle in the car to lengthen my straightaways as much as I can, have a larger braking zone, have a larger A-cell and D-cell zone. With all-wheel drive, that kind of takes that out of the equation, so you're not really required to have as much control. And I've really built my, my whole career off of having the most control that I could possibly get, which, I've gotten very good at because of my test session exercises and my driver development days in that area. I think like all drives, like, point and shoot. But if you have something that has like a hybrid, the front tires are controlled by a battery and electric motor. So that's way low in the chassis in the front. The electric motor would be way low in the chassis in the front. And then you had the battery systems for that being underneath the driver's seat. And then you had mid-engine. I think that would corner spectacularly well, because you're not asking 50-50, powertrain. Do you know what the power delivery on the Masons are?
I have no idea.
Right? I don't know.
I have no clue.
I've never been there. He makes an incredible truck.
Yeah, it's a work of art. Absolute work of art. I've seen them. I've seen videos and pictures and stuff, and like walk around videos and all sorts of wild stuff that they do, and they are just beautiful trucks. I mean, it's almost a shame to take them out in the desert and beat them, but they're insane. And I don't know any of the specs. I wish I did. I wish I knew more about them, but I'm just a lowly Ultra 4 racer, man. I think
the motors are too small. I think so? There's a couple different things. I think the motors are too small. Like, I have a 585. When I was going to build my all-wheel drive like 7 years ago, I had Dugan's build me a 700-inch big block. It was going to make 1,350 and over 1,000 foot-pounds, and it would have room for twin turbos in the engine bay. It was going to be mid-engine. I didn't have the budget to put it all the way together, so I ended up parting it out and whatnot. I actually just sold the motor to Ray. But looking back, I would still go with that nasty motor that with room for hair dryers. But we're getting all the traction. Why do we need mid-engine? I think it would work better if it was front engine, if it could work. If it could work in terms of transferring power where it needs to go without shock load, with longevity in the system. I think in the bumps, it would work better if it was a front engine, rear fuel cell, and it would be, the weight would be, the inertia in the system would be distributed evenly so that the tires can follow the ground a little bit more. Why do we need a mid-engine in an all-wheel drive truck?
Right.
Traction?
We're already doing twice
the work, right? Yeah. So I think all-wheel drive with a motor in the front, obviously fuel in the back, I think that would go through the bumps a lot better. I mean, how do they go through the bumps in comparison of like a four-wheel drive? I drove the Huseman truck through the bumps, but it didn't have all the travel. It had like 19 or 20 inches of travel.
Is that
Bryce's?
Is that the limiting factor of a 4-wheel drive truck? Do you just not have the travel?
It was until the portals.
Okay.
So, and Dave Peralt, that built Rampage, he built my truck. He was part of the development, from what I understand of that. He was going to do portals in my truck like 7 years ago. And they had a bunch of all-wheel drives that didn't have portals. And then Mason's, developed their truck. They ended up having portals. I don't know if Dave worked with them or not. So that helped get the travel from 18, 19 inches to 24 inches.
Yeah.
It makes, in my opinion, it makes a big difference because when I drove Bryce's truck that Huseman built, it was kind of struggling there in terms of, it wasn't quite as smooth as it could have been, and it's not staying connected to the ground for as long as, my 2-wheel drive truck. And I don't like the unsprung weight in the front. The portals are 50 pounds a corner all the way out on the tire.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah. We had, and I want to, before I forget the thought, we had Max and Robbie Gordon on the other day, and I was talking to Max about him driving that twin engine truck. And I mean, as far as
he says it's a tank.
Yeah, he says it's an absolute Brutus to drive, but there was a video of him cruising down through some section in a race, and it just looks like this dude's on warp speed in that truck, and he was actually saying that being twin engine doesn't necessarily even make it faster. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and what kind of
small motors.
And it kind of blew my mind, from a guy coming from the single engine side-by-side world that has like zero power in relation. You think twin engine, V8s, you're like, dude, that thing's got to be an absolute rocket ship.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, not really.
Yeah. It's so heavy, and they're not like real motors, he
was saying there was diesel at one time.
Oh yeah.
I remember diesel motors, and then they've kind of evolved into the V8.
But they're just LSs that make 500 or 600 horsepower, and, there's a lot of metal in there to make that thing work. And I've never driven it. They've offered to let me drive it, but I just never. I want to drive it, but I've never been out to a test session. And with the complexities of that system, as a racer, this. You're only as fast as you can be and clean up a mess that you have made. Like if you're like, oh my God, I should have hit the brakes 100 feet ago and I'm going 95 miles an hour or whatever it is. I'm not going to make it. What can I do to keep this thing from being upside down and on fire? And that's another way, like I've developed my particular skill, because I don't like I'm terrified of crashing. So I don't like, people think like I'm this brave guy that takes all these risks. I've really worked hard on saving the vehicle if I've made a mistake. And like, whatever, I'm not going to make this corner. What is the softest thing you can possibly hit? And I'll hit that thing, get back on course. So it costs me 8 to 10 seconds. And, I'm like, get scared after you solve this problem. Right. So I call it catastrophe management or disaster management. So you don't have that. Disaster management is a biological system, right? When, oh my God, I made a mistake. What can I do to not crash as bad or maybe not crash at all? So that's a biological system and a driver. And the mechanical system is the system that bonds with the biological system to make that happen. And from what I understand is that mechanical system doesn't interact with the biological system, doesn't interact with the driver as well as it relates to recovering from some kind of critical error where you're trying not to be upside down. So you can't, as a driver, you take as much risk as you can until you start making messes, and then you got to back down a little bit. From what I understand from people that have driven it, you can't really, it's a little bit more difficult to recover from some type of mistake.
Hard to correct
everything's slower. It's harder to correct.
Heavier, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how heavy it is, but I think it's well over 75.
That's a big
truck.
What
I heard, that's a big truck.
That's a big. What are
My
your
truck's
trucks?
big. Mine's 69.95.
Yeah, big truck.
It's big.
I don't think people realize how heavy those trucks are too. I mean, you see them in the videos and stuff, and you see the suspension work, and they're big vehicles.
Oh yeah.
You guys are carrying a ton of fuel, spare tires, parts. I mean, I don't know exactly, but you can see the tires hanging off the back or wherever you've got them mounted. So I mean, there's a ton of weight there.
Oh yeah, and they think like, oh, you have a $130,000 motor with 1,100 horsepower and all this stuff. Like, I have a Raptor R that I drive. Lots of fun. Makes pretty good power. Makes 700 horsepower. My motor for my race truck costs more than my truck that I drive every day. Okay. And if you put them next to each other on tarmac, on just pavement, and they drag race each other, my regular truck that I just got off the showroom floor, it will kill my race truck. It'll out accelerate my race truck every single time. So, I think if we could, it's a very hard struggle to cut the fat off these things and still make them live, because they're always in a chaotic environment, and they're always trying to be, have the front bumper fold over the rear bumper 14 times a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. They get so much force because they hit this stuff so hard, and everything's moving. So I think that's why they got to be so heavy. And the more parts are on the truck, like the twin engine geyser, I'd imagine the more weight you got to put in it, the more steel you got to put in it to keep the structure.
It's a catch-22 at that point.
Yeah, it is definitely a catch-22.
We watched the Herps truck out here, and I don't know I don't remember the driver, but I know it was a Herps truck because I've seen the video. But he come out here, I don't know if you saw it, and he just kind of caught a bad rut, and it bounced and just tossed him sideways, and he went for a Thor. He went for a nasty roll. I think he was okay. He got out and walked away, but like safety in your guys' trucks is like, it's got to be just extensive. I mean, those cages have got to be, right on.
Oh, I mean, in 2015, maybe it was 2016. I'm still trying to figure out which year it was, but I was like third car on the road at 1,000, and I had a navigation area. I was like, pay attention to this. I don't want to kill this motorcycle guy. I'm just trying to get around him. I know there's something coming up. And the guy that was riding with me at the time was flipping through the pie dash, wasn't paying attention. 90 seconds later, it was what I was afraid of. I was going 96 miles an hour. I got to slow down to about 85 before I went off the road. And I missed the rock that I had marked, which was like pretty cool. Like, all right, this is like a 45 mile an hour corner. And I went off at like 80. Well, past the rock that I had missed was a rock the size of a school bus, that I went through. And it broke some of the front clip, but you would imagine if you hit something that weighs 50,000 pounds, you'd be in really big trouble. You're going from 85 to 0 in 14 inches. And, I had where the D-cell hit and stopped my head from going through the windshield. I had a scab on my head. I had a reduction in my functional vocabulary for 3 days, down like 40 or 50%. I hope I fully recovered from that. And then the guy that was riding with me, Willie, great prep guy, he's a great dude, but he did, make a little bit of mistake here, which is fine. We all make mistakes. But Willie could not talk for like 12 seconds.
Wow.
So I was like, dude, are you all right? Are you all right? Are you all right? It sounded, which was really strange, how loud it was. It was like somebody pulled both triggers on a double barrel shotgun inside a car with all the windows rolled up. It was so loud that there was a team of spectators that were, I think, a mile and a half away that came over because they heard it, not because they saw it, because they heard it. It was like 11:30 at night.
Wow.
But yeah, then I just went and got tacos and went home with my tail between my legs.
It's a testament to the toughness of those trucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're having the front bumper always wanting to bend over the rear bumper. So we got to triangulate everything and put a bunch of steel in it. And the more stuff that you put in the truck, the stronger that you have to make it so those parts don't fail. It's a side effect. Like the brutal strength is a side effect of the environment that is required to operate in at the speeds it's required to operate at.
Wild stuff, man. Absolutely wild stuff. And you blow my mind every time you talk about it, because I can't even fathom the amount of work and the amount of effort that goes into these trucks and your race teams and all that stuff that it takes to race these big races. I commend you for everything you've done, and you're a leader in the sport. And I look forward to getting you back out to Hammers and watching you race again. I'm making it a personal goal of mine to come to some bigger desert races and not necessarily race, but just be there and experience it, watch these trucks work and get behind the scenes a little bit and see how the pit works and all that stuff. Cause I've seen it here, at a little bit, like a diminished version, I guess. I don't really get out much, but it's every single time I'm just like, gosh, look at that. Like the way you guys fuel the trucks. It's almost NASCAR.
Yeah.
You know, you guys come in, you got these giant fuel hoses, guys in full suits running up and fueling it, and you're in and out. I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy as far as the sport has grown, especially in the last 10 years. I can't believe how fast we're getting fuel. It's nuts.
It's nuts. It's insane. It's really cool to see where the sport's going. It's really cool to have you out here at King of the Hammers.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, brother.
I'm pinch me right now because to have you on the podcast and be able to sit here and chat with you.
Well, it's a privilege to be on. I really, really appreciate the invite. So of course I'm going to take you up on it. It's really cool to talk to you about these subjects too. It's super awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, BJ, for coming on our Day Out podcast. Thank you so much.
It, brother.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you everybody for listening. Make sure you go follow BJ on all his social medias, and the dude is an absolute gangster.
Thank you, brother.
Our Day Out podcast, King of the Hammers 2026. We'll see y'all later. Thank you.